Welcome to the very first episodes of the Builders Bootcamp. Today we're actually going to cover everything concerning build mode, so just the basics. How to get there, all the tools that you have in build mode. So we're not even going to be building anything, we're just going to go through the UI of the game to make sure that you understand every single button that is there, so that once you start building, you will feel completely comfortable knowing where to click and knowing what tools to use. So if you're in game, there are actually two ways to enter build mode. You can either do it right away from the world map by clicking on a lot and clicking on the little build icon here on the bottom. If you do it this way, you will enter infinite build mode, meaning that you actually go into a sandbox mode where you just have an infinite amount of money and you can build whatever you want. The second way that you can enter build mode is by going into an active household, like that, by clicking on the play button. As soon as your game is loaded, you will see the build icon up here as well. You can also press F2 on your keyboard if you want. If you click here, you will notice that you actually enter build mode through the household. That means that the household funds that you see down here below are actually the funds that you will use when building. So keep this in mind, it really depends on what you want to do. If you just want to build for fun, I would recommend entering through world mode, because this way you will have an infinite amount of money. But if you're building for a specific household or a specific storyline, I would definitely recommend doing it this way, because by doing it this way, you're actually using the household funds and you can, for instance, make a starter home that just fits the budget of the sim that you want to play with. Okay, so I made sure to start on an empty lot. Basically, this is a lot that has nothing built on it yet. I went into infinite build mode for this. This way I can make sure that I can show you guys everything I want to show you without running into any money issues. And like I said, today we're just gonna start with the basics. So I'm just gonna walk you through the UI that you see as soon as you enter build mode. The first thing I want to show you guys is all the way at the top over here is the venue or the lot info. If you click on this little house, you will find two things. You can see the lot type, so if you have expansion packs for The Sims 4, you can actually select different lot types in here. I must say with this, I have a mod installed in my game to have many more available lot types, so your list might be a little bit shorter than mine. You can also see the lot value, the lot dimensions. If you want to, you can actually write down how many bathrooms or bedrooms this lot has. And then there are no requirements for this lot type, meaning that if you select, for instance, let's say a bar, as you can see, all these requirements pop up. That means that all of these things need to be available on the lot before you can actually complete the build as a bar. Right next to it, you'll find the traits panel. And recently they actually added something new here called the lot challenges. What you can add here is you can add traits for the lot. So you can maybe say it's a cat-friendly lot, meaning that a lot of cats will start to hang out at this lot. And you can give it a challenge, meaning, for instance, that you have a lot of insects living here. All of these things will actually influence the Sims that are living here as soon as you start playing. So keep this in mind with, giving the lot a lot of bad or random traits. It might actually make it a little bit more difficult for you to play the game later on. Good to know. You don't have to assign lot traits. You can easily play The Sims without ever touching lot traits. It's just something that is good to know that you can find it over here. Something that you also might notice is that there is a red triangle over here, and that is indicating that we actually haven't met all of the lot requirements. I'm gonna change it back to residential. Residential doesn't have any of the lot requirements. You can just build whatever you want because it's just gonna be a house. The next thing that you can do is you can actually change the name of the lot. So let's say you're building a house on Honey Lane 2, you can actually name this lot Honey Lane 2. By default, all of the lots in The Sims actually already have names, so feel free to just leave it at that if you don't feel like you want to change it at all. The next part of the UI that I want to move on to is this little bar up here, and there are actually a lot of useful tools that I use as a builder all the time. The first one is just your arrow. This is basically the thing that you see now, and it's just a thing where you can click around and you can actually select things in all of the other menus. So it's by default the tool that is selected. Good to know, if you hover over on any of these tools, you will also see a small letter indicating the shortcut key on your keyboard. So if you're a gamer and you've, played many games with keyboard or shortcuts, this will tell you the shortcuts in The Sims. The only sad thing is you cannot change the shortcuts in The Sims. So these are the ones that you'll have to learn if you really want to build with shortcuts from your keyboard. This is actually the eyedropper. The eyedropper does exactly what you think it would do. It actually copies and pastes things. So if you select the eyedropper and you select the thing, it copy and pastes it for you. The next one is the design tool, and the design tool is actually used to change swatches on a certain object. So if you select this one and then click on an object, you will be able to see all of the available swatches or colors, if you will, that this object has. Good to know is if you are placing an object, you will also see the little swatches on the side, and if you click on them, you will also be able to rotate through the swatches before you actually place the item. So this is more something that I use whenever I place an item and later on I decide that I want to change the color. The fourth tool in this row is the sledgehammer. And this is also kind of logical. It is used to destroy things. So let's just make sure that we delete everything that we just placed so we have an empty lot again. Up next, we have these two little arrows, and these are basically just undo and redo. So we just deleted some things. Let's say you accidentally delete something that you didn't want to delete. You can just pop it and then you say, hey, it's back. If you then decide, maybe actually it was better when it was gone, just click it, and this way you can go back in between action. Good to know, if you are a familiar user of Microsoft Office, you can use Ctrl-Z or Ctrl-Z to actually also do this. I tend to do this a lot in my work, and it's very lovely that it also works in The Sims. The next symbol is Save to Library, and Save to Library basically means that you can either save it to your own library, localized on your computer, or you can save it to the gallery. And the gallery is basically a website of The Sims where all of people's builds are stored and you can download them. So you can even download other people's builds and you can upload your own if you ever want to share them. If you click here, you can actually either save the entire lot, meaning that everything that you see within the white border on the outside of the lot will be saved to the gallery. The other one is save a room. And to do that, you actually need to select a room. So we're gonna get a little bit into details here. Don't worry, this will all be explained in all the other episodes of the Builders Bootcamp too. So if you build a room, you can actually select it and then upload a room separately to the gallery. If you click this, a nice pop-up menu opens where you can give the room or the lot a name. You can select what kind of room it is, or in the other case, it will automatically select the type of lot that you gave to that lot. And you can enter a little description, and then you can either click down here to save it to the gallery, or you can click it down here to save it to your personal library. That is just for you. No one else will be able to see your build. But if you decide to upload it, everyone else will be able to download your room and actually play with it as well. So the next tool is the Move tool, and the Move tool actually has two options. You can either move a house. Basically, that means that you can either move this structure or this. As long as the different rooms are connected, The Sims considers it to be one house. So I can select this one and then I can move it around. But that means that this one will stay in the same place. If you ever want to move the entire lot, so everything that is on there slightly to the left, you will have to select the second one, Move Lot. As soon as you do that, you will be able to, as you can see, move the entire thing. One of the last things in this bar is the bulldoze one, and it basically does what it says. If you click it, you can either bulldoze the entire lot, meaning that all of the buildings on the lot will disappear, or you can bulldoze the terrain pane. The terrain pane is something that we will go into in another episode of the Builders Bootcamp, but basically The Sims sees this as two different things, so you can either just destroy the buildings. The last thing in this bar is the light. And you can actually change the time of day when you're building, because some lots look really good in the morning and others look really good in the night. And it's also sometimes nice to be able to see what your build looks like at different times of day. So literally you can just, go through them, see what your lot looks like, and then decide, hey, this is actually the brightest one, best for building, I'm gonna keep it at this one. Now I wanna move on to all of the things up here. So here we have Manage Worlds. As soon as you click on that, you go back to the world view. I'm not going to click it right now as I'm actually explaining this to you guys, but if you click this, you will go back to the Manage Worlds view that I showed you before where we entered build mode. If you click here, you can actually open the gallery. So remember when I explained that this little symbol, you can save something to the gallery? If you want to access that at a later point, you can actually click here and this will open up the gallery. You have a gallery tab that shows you all of the builds that are online in that Sims website. You have news, so anything relating builds that you uploaded that were downloaded, or maybe people that you follow on the gallery uploaded something new, that will all appear here. You have your own personal page. In my case, this is slowly loading, but this is my page. These are my builds, and if you want to see all of them, you can quickly click on your catalog and it should load all of the things that you ever made. You have a lot of filters on the side, so you can either say you want to see only households or only Sims. So good thing is you can not just upload your builds, you can also upload families and Sims to the gallery. And then you have my library, and this is the one that I talked about earlier that is locally stored on your computer, and it just has, you know, the things that you saved for your personal use. Then right after that, we have two little arrows, and these basically allow you to move up floors and down. So you can go underground, you can go up, you can go all the way up to the floor that, you know, to the top one. The Sims is limited to 4 floors above ground, and I think 4 floors below ground. I've never tried to make more than 4 basements, so I do not know this, to be honest. But you can just quickly move up and down like this. If you ever try to build something, but this wall is blocking you, you can actually change the way that you see the walls in The Sims as well. Now they're all up, you can put them all down, so you see none of the walls. And you can say this, and this is actually quite smart, because the wall that goes down moves with your camera. This way it's very easy to build, and I almost always play with the walls half down as well. So I can see part of the walls because it's nice for decoration, but most of the walls are down. Then right next to that, we find the camera options. And this is actually quite a difficult one because The Sims 4 has 2 camera modes. You have the Sims 4 camera and the Sims 3 camera. And both of these heavily influence what you can do and how you can see your game. So I'm going to make sure to make a whole separate video on how to use each cameras in The Sims. But just know that this is the place where you can swap between. And also this is where you can rotate, zoom out, zoom in, and if you want, you can also view your build from the top. Right next to that is your notification wall, and this is basically the place where all of the notifications from your game, whether that was when you're building or when you're playing, they pop up here, and you can delete them, and you can view them, and that's basically what you can do here. And then you have the options menu right next to that, where you can save, go into your game options, or actually exit the game if you're done playing. Then I want to move on to the last part of this first episode, and that is actually the building menu that you see down here. I'm not going to get in all of the details because I will go over them in separate episodes that are actually relevant, but I want to show you how it works real quick. So the first thing is the build menu, and this is basically everything that you will need to build the outside of the house or to landscape the outside of the house. So you're not decorating yet, you're not putting any furniture in, it's just the outside. There is one kind of weird exception to this, and that is if you click on this one, you can go to styled rooms, and you will get entirely ready to use rooms that you can just place on your lot, just like that, and you'll have a furnished room. Basically, I never use this because I find it way too much fun to build something for myself and then decorate it as well, but you can actually use it and you can find it here. As I quickly showed with grabbing that room, everything you see in here is clickable. And that kind of speaks for itself for the rest of building. If you want to place a tree or a plant, you click on the tree. If you want to place a chimney, you click on the chimney. And the build menu will go over to the section of the catalog that actually contains all of those items. If there is ever a case that you wonder if The Sims has a certain item, or you actually know it's there but you are not able to find it this way, you can always use the search bar here to find something that you're looking for. So you can look for chimney, and it will actually look through the entire catalog of things that you have placed in your Sims. So even if at some point you dare to use custom content or mods, you will be able to find items in here as well. The next icon is actually objects by room. So this is where we get into the furnishings and the decorations. And you can find these in 2 ways. You can either find them sorted by room, so you can find them through the kitchen, the bathroom, the bedroom, the living room, etc. But sometimes you want to use something that isn't necessarily logical to find in a room. So you can click on the next one, which is actually objects by function. And this will give you a menu that either can show you everything, which is kind of overwhelming and I wouldn't recommend, or you can find it by surfaces. This includes shelving, closets, everything that, you know, quite literally is a surface. You can find decoration, anything that has to do with activities and skills. And when I look at both of these menus, I really use them 50-50. So in some cases, if I want a couch for my living room, I quite naturally go here and then click on the couch. But if I'm searching for that one specific mirror that I want to use in the hallway, it doesn't always make sense to find it through this way. and then I just go here, select decorations, and then wall decorations or mirrors. And that way I can find it way quicker. So it really depends on you, which one of the two you want to use. And also know that categorization in The Sims is not 100% logical, so sometimes it will take you a little while to find that one thing that you want to use. And this only gets more difficult if you have all of the packs. The last icon here at the bottom is actually the household inventory. And because we are currently in free build mode, we are not with a household. We don't have a sim living here, so there actually is no household because there is no sim. But if you were to go into build mode through live mode and you actually have a sim living here, they will have a household inventory. Their household inventory contains either stuff that you put in there because you wanted to save it for a later moment, or because your sim leveled up in their career and actually got a reward, and that often shows up in the household inventory as well. So if you've been a vivid player of The Sims and you always wondered where those career rewards go and you've never been able to find them because building wasn't your thing and you never saw this menu before, this is where they are. That actually wraps up the very first episode of the Builders Bootcamp. I believe that this was one of the more extensive ones because there was just a lot of ground to cover when you first open up the build by menu, and there are just so many buttons. In all of the next episodes, we will go into way more detail on flooring, walls, rooms, floor plans, stairs, roofs, the whole shebang. You will be able to find an episode on it, whether it is next week or in a couple of weeks. I will make sure to cover every single basis of building in The Sims. Please let me know what you think of this course so far, because any feedback or input is more than welcome so I can continue to improve the course as I'm recording it. If you have any questions, also feel free to pop them in the comments down below. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Builders Bootcamp, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!